Hello, I'm Jim Self. Let me welcome you to this segment of A Course in Mastering Alchemy. A Course in Mastering Alchemy has been being taught for a number of years now. It is a co-creation with the archangelic realm, the ascended masters, the lords of light. It has a specific purpose, and that purpose is to begin to provide an awareness to each human being on the planet that allows them to manage their energy, begin to make different choices, stepping out of this third dimensional reality, which I'll explain in a minute, and beginning to know themselves in a manner that allows that internal evolution of each one of us to take place. We're in a time of a tremendous transition. It's a spiritual transition, although it's playing out in an external world with an awful lot of noise and drama. There are aspects of you that are being experienced in anxiety and frustration. There's a fear, there's a worry. What if you had a set of tools, a set of concepts, an understanding that allowed you to begin to perceive this world that we experience differently? What if you had a set of tools that allowed you to begin to perceive the world from the center of your head? Begin to experience it in present time and observe and then choose an action rather than what you may have experienced for most of your life, looking at that third dimensional world, looking at that external world, waiting for approval, waiting for direction, waiting for acceptance of that external world in order to experience your life. What if you could change that around? What if you could build this platform from the center of your head, observe the world and choose from present time, begin to have a sense of certainty, of capable, a sense of being senior in your space, senior not being old, senior being a sense of your own seniority. This is who I am. This is how I experience myself. This is how I begin to choose vibrations and experiences on my terms. So these fundamental tools, this segment of Course in Mastering Alchemy, is all about providing a series of tools and concepts that allow you to make those choices. Now, these tools are simple, and simple many times gets confused with insignificant. These tools are not insignificant. These tools allow you to choose a reality on your terms rather than being pushed around by the external world's reality on their terms. So when you begin to have an experience of the word certainty, for example. Certainty is not an intellectual exercise. It's not something where do you know what certainty is, and everybody says, oh sure, I know what certainty is. This level of certainty is one where you really take a breath and you internalize this sense of certainty. You begin to let the body feel certain. This is something that's very familiar with you, but not necessarily something that you exercise very often. In this transition that we're experiencing, much of that anxiety, much of that uncertainty, much of that drama in the external world is all about leaving. It's all about being removed. This transition from let's call it a third dimensional definition of the world we live in, again, I'll explain it in a minute, into something that is much more about well-being and beauty, graciousness, kindness, respect, dignity, appreciation, is a transition. And in this transition, you can't take your baggage with you. So what is not necessarily understood by most is those anxieties, those uncomfortablenesses that we are all experiencing based on the external world, to a great extent are leaving. They're being purged out of the body. But I can't distinguish between the anxiety leaving and the anxiety that I've experienced all my life. So these fundamental tools begin to give you an awareness of that external world. It begins to give you a set of choices that allow you to manage your energy, to be in the world, but not of that world. Now that might sound odd, but as you begin to recognize this is what I'm all about, you also begin to know yourself. And in that knowing yourself experience from certain, capable, gracious, present time, observing, choosing, and then acting, rather than what may be a common experience of shoot, ready, aim, and then having to make up excuses and apologize for whatever the circumstance that you just stepped into. As you begin to experience this transition from this platform, creating a space where you, again, can observe and choose and act, there is a reality that sets in that much of what you've been playing in all your life has nothing to do with you. So one of the tools we'll talk about in a few moments is the center of your head. And the question is a silly question. Do you know where the center of your head is? And everybody goes, of course. Yeah, but do you know where the center of your head is? Or a better question maybe is, do you spend any time in the center of your head? Again, sounds like a silly question. But if you look back at your life, how much of your life has been created on the belief system and on the thought process and on the terms of other people? The mom, dad, teacher, minister in life says, you go to this school, you don't go to that school, you hang out with these people, you don't hang out with those people, you eat these kind of foods, you believe these kind of things, and this is what we are about. Well, as a little kid, you go, okay. And then you grow up in that space. Very, very seldom do you ever examine those beliefs, those thoughts, those considerations, those truths. Because if you did, you would find that most of the thoughts you think and most of the beliefs that you hold are not yours. So what if you could create a platform that allowed you to begin to know yourself? And as you began to observe some of those beliefs and thoughts that you hold on to, one of the things that you will recognize as many of those thoughts and beliefs, when I begin to remember my thoughts and beliefs, bring them into present time, make them conscious, they make me really uncomfortable. I don't really dislike those people over there. I just believe I dislike those people over there. But in real terms, under the surface, that anxiety or that misbalance is very present in the center of your head, in the fourth chakra, in the aspect of your whole energy field. But what if you could create a foundation that allows you to examine that without the emotion and allow it to simply leave without the drama? So these fundamental tools that we're going to be presenting here are really about this transition. See, the archangelics, when they co-created this process, basically said this transition was evolving very rapidly. It is. Look around. These tools allow you to step out of that space and begin to choose differently. Now, this is a course. This is going to take a little bit of time. There is 8 or 10 tools that we're going to present. They're not intellectual tools, as I said a moment ago. These are tools to be practiced, to be experienced, to be used. And they're going to be presented in a very sequential way. You see, if you can be in the center of your head, you can be grounded, you can be in present time, you start to observe your reality, you begin to determine how you think, because see, you think in layers of thought. You don't think in the same place all the time. If you can begin to manage your energy from the standpoint of being still and observing, rather than leaning into, oh, I hope, into the future, your ability to recreate your future becomes much more doable on your terms. Many of us live in the past and in the future, and very little time is spent in the present moment. In that present moment space, when you begin to be in the center of your head, grounded in present time, you start to realize that everything about your history can be observed as information without an emotion attached to it. Now think about that. I stole a candy bar and I am in guilt for that. But really, I stole the candy bar when I was 5 years old. And if I could remove everybody else's judgment, everybody else's condemnation, everybody else's opinion from the event, would I steal the candy bar again? No. Did I have an experience? Did the experience give me a result? Did the result give me an awareness? And if I can remove the emotion, the guilt, the blame, the condemning, would I view my current experience of life differently? And the answer will be yes. If you can clear the guilt, the blame, the judgments, the fears, the worries, most of which are not even yours, and begin to choose a reality. Create a space where you can start to discern what would I like to do and what would I not like to do. What if you could create a space right here where you began to recognize that from this point, we're going to call it a rose, a tool in a moment, but from this point to here is me, and everything on the other side of that point is Shakespeare's theater to entertain you. Now think about it. If that was all there for your choice and entertainment or not, and you could discern whether you engaged in it or not on your terms, and you could be happy in the process, would your life function differently? So yeah, there's some baggage on my side, but once you create this point of delineation, this point of discernment, something very specific happens. You begin to allow Shakespeare's theater to be over there, not here, in the center of your head, having a lot of opinion about should and shouldn't and right and wrong and good and bad. So as you begin to discern, and you begin to allow your history to be simply information that will allow you to make a better choice in a future present time moment, much of this aspect of guilt or blame or pick your own baggage actually has a means of being removed without the emotion. Now I'm talking about simple tools. Again, simple is not insignificant, but simple is also not easy. Because many of us are like a freight train at 90 miles an hour, and here's Jim over here saying, well, just turn right, just turn right, just turn right. And in your head, you're saying, are you crazy? I'm going to crash. If I do that, everybody's not going to like me, etc., etc. But in fact, as you begin to build this platform, certain, capable, choice, balanced thought and emotions with choice, you're going to find that that right turn is actually quite simple. But it takes a little bit of practice. So the reason that we're making these tools available, really there's two purposes to it. One is everybody on the planet is waking up. Everybody is waking up. But as they wake up, they begin to become conscious of a lot of these emotions and dramas that are transitioning out of their space. They're leaving. Everybody is on this journey. And you cannot take your baggage with you on this journey. But most don't have a clue as to this doesn't really even belong to them. So the purpose of making these tools available to you and to many like you, is so that you can begin to choose for yourself how to move through this transition. Now, I recognize that a vast number of you that are watching this are going to get excited about these tools, are going to learn these tools, hopefully, and I'm never going to see you, and that's perfectly okay. This is a journey that we all are involved in. This is a journey that requires your attention, your consciousness. This is a journey that is in transition. So it's got lots of twists and turns, but the more of us that can be grounded, present, engaged with the internal guidance system in the heart, versus the rational mind that depends on the external world for its approval, the choices that are going to be made are going to be much more valuable in bringing about this fifth dimensional state of consciousness of well-being, beauty, graciousness, appreciation, dignity, the things that you know that you always have been, but have been distracted by this external world. The second reason that we're providing these tools is these are fundamental tools and concepts that allow you to build that platform. Now, many people constantly are asking, this is a journey. I want to know myself. I want to evolve, ascend. I want to know about this living light body that's available to me, but not from a third dimensional perspective. So, can you give us more tools? Can you give me more awarenesses? Hence the course in Mastering Alchemy. So, twofold. One, for everybody who can take advantage of these, please do. For those of you who are interested in a more comprehensive journey, and I keep saying journey because this isn't a 2-week course where you have a certificate on your wall. This is a journey. This is a life pattern. This is what you came here to do. This is the process that takes you home. Now, everybody is going to be on this journey, plus or minus at some time or another, this lifetime or the next. But these awarenesses, these concepts, this understanding of yourself, beginning to recognize that there's a whole different chakra system that's available to you when you know yourself, when you begin to choose to live in present time. There's aspects of this journey that are going to be mind-boggling, but from this third dimensional perspective, you can't even comprehend their existence. So, very simple. This journey is step by step, not complicated, actually very simple. But simple sometimes is not easy. But if you can remove the emotions from your past and begin to recognize that the third dimensional world, that external world, is not where you need your validation and approval. And when you begin to move back into this internal guidance system, you recognize some very fundamental things. It is impossible to not be okay. Impossible. Although we seem to work very hard in that third dimensional world at not being okay. It's an unnecessary set of reactions. And when you kind of build this platform, you start to recognize joy and happy, and present time. You might even find that you like yourself. That smile begins to unfold from the heart. So, this is the fundamental tools segment. And I'm going to go through this piece by piece. Again, it's not intellectual. It's not something that you do these whole segments in the matter of 4 or 5 hours, which they probably will be presented. It's something, take a piece of this and then go spend a couple days practicing it. If you can begin to think from the different layers of thought, from the center of your head, being grounded, having a sense of stability, all of that works together as one. And so become masterful at each one of these pieces as you play at this process. So let's see what we can do. And I would like to start by explaining some of the structures of what the third, the fourth, and the fifth dimension is. And then we'll talk about time, something that most of us just accept as an absolute past, present, future, then you die. But in fact, time is an application. And when you understand present time, you understand how to create considerably differently than anything you've done in the past. So let me step back and give you some information about the third, the fourth, and the fifth dimension.